You don't often hear about the U.S. Army sending someone home because they were considered more valuable outside the military than in it. But that's exactly what happened to a young man named Riley B. King, better known to the world as B.B. King. Born in 1925 on a Mississippi cotton plantation, King grew up working the fields as a sharecropper. Life was tough. He later recalled that their house was so worn down you could peek through the cracks in the walls to see the weather outside, and the outhouse was out back. At the time, he didn't think of himself as poor because that was just the way life was. When he was drafted during World War II, it wasn't the Army that decided his fate. It was his local draft board. They argued he was more valuable driving tractors for cotton production than holding a rifle. So he was sent home to work the land. But even before the Army, music had already taken root. At just 12 years old, King scraped together money, actually borrowing from the plantation owner, to buy his very first guitar. By 6 or 7, he was already drawn to the blues, fascinated by the sound no one else seemed to play. He practiced endlessly, often performing on street corners for spare change. On weekends, he walked miles to hear legends like Robert Nighthawk, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and Sonny Boy Williamson. He even formed his own gospel group, landing small appearances on local radio. Teaching himself to play, King developed a sound that was uniquely his. He couldn't quite sing and play at the same time, so he alternated, singing a line, then answering with his guitar. And instead of using a bottleneck slide, his wide fingers created a shimmering vibrato by rapidly rocking the strings. That sound became his signature and later influenced Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Carlos Santana, and Gary Clark Jr. In his early 20s, King hitchhiked his way to Memphis, riding in a grocery truck and helping unload deliveries along the way. Memphis in the late 1940s was alive with music, especially on Beale Street. Every corner had a club, and every club had a band. He soaked it all in while practicing for radio, writing jingles on his guitar, mimicking the ads he heard daily. That preparation paid off. In 1948, he was invited to perform on a Memphis radio program. When asked to come up with a jingle on the spot, King nailed it. The station gave him his own 15-minute show. As a young disc jockey, he went by Beale Street Blues Boy. Over time, that nickname was shortened to simply B.B. King. By 1949, he was recording in Nashville and Memphis, and in 1951, his single 3 O'Clock Blues hit #1 on the R&B charts for 15 weeks straight. That song made him a national star. Of course, the blues life came with drama. In the mid-50s, while performing in Twist, Arkansas, a fight broke out and a kerosene stove was knocked over, setting the dance hall on fire. King escaped safely, until he realized his guitar was still inside. He ran back into the flames to save it, barely escaping alive. Later, he learned the fight was over a woman named Lucille. From that night forward, every guitar he played carried the name Lucille, as a reminder never to risk his life for anything foolish again. Unlike many blues musicians of his era, King dressed sharp. He wore 3-piece suits on stage, insisting his band did the same. His role models weren't just other bluesmen, but big band leaders like Duke Ellington and Count Basie. To King, performing meant more than music. It was about presence, class, and respect. Though he dominated the R&B charts through the 1950s, his traditional blues sound struggled against the rise of James Brown, Chuck Berry, and Little Richard in the U.S. But across the Atlantic, British rock bands kept his flame alive. The Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton, and others credited him as a major influence. King often said, "When you mention the Rolling Stones, I get on my knees and say thank you, because they helped us get the attention we deserved." In 1968, King played San Francisco's Fillmore Auditorium. He was introduced as the King of the Blues, a title that stuck. The following year, his rendition of The Thrill Is Gone earned him his first Grammy, and it became his signature song. Over his career, B.B. King won 16 Grammys, toured relentlessly, sometimes over 275 shows a year, and became one of the most admired guitarists in the world. Even after battling diabetes and heart disease, he kept performing until his final years. B.B. King passed away in 2015 at the age of 89, but not before changing music forever. From cotton fields to concert halls, from street corners to the world stage, he took the blues mainstream and inspired generations. This year, September 16th, would have marked his 100th birthday. And as he once said, "Everything I record, I just try to sound like me and come up with songs that suit what I do, and then just go for it." That's the legacy of the King of the Blues, B.B. King.